All right, it looks like everyone's in. All righty. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Sarah Gifford. I'm a librarian with the Oxford Lane Library in Oxford, Ohio. We also have branches in Hamilton and Fairfield. We want to welcome you to today's meeting. We were originally supposed to do something with Amanda last spring, but you know, COVID and all. So I do want to thank the Friends for their generosity, the Friends of the Oxford Lane Library, who present us with some really cool programming. And Amanda and I were just talking about how you don't realize how much libraries do. So if you're within our lane system, check us out. And if you're outside of the lane system, check your own library system out. I appreciate it. We have over 200 people registered today, which tells me that we're all ready for some changes in 2021. Because of that, I have disabled everyone's cameras and your audio, so you won't be able to speak, but there is a chat option here, and mine is on the bottom of my screen. If you see, it's a little speech bubble, and it says chat. If you click on that, on the side, you will see a chat, and I'm going to chat something to you. So, hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Pardon the typos. Yeah, so at the end of this, yay! At the end of this, there will be a poll. Hopefully it will work, where I ask you just a few questions. The folks who answer the poll will be entered to win Amanda's online, or your, not virtual, your digital cookbook, your digital meal prep cookbook. If for some reason that doesn't work for us, I will email everyone on Monday a survey. Again, we have 200. Tells me that you're all ready for a change, but it also tells me that Amanda has quite the following. So, and you're just real, Amanda, and I just enjoy listening to you and your podcasts and following you on Instagram. So with that, I know people would rather listen to you than me. So I'm going to hand it over to Amanda.
Thank you. Well, I'm excited to do this. I am not a Zoom expert, so you're going to have to forgive me here if I am a little wonky with this, but I created slides. So we're going to go through that. But a little about me is, yes, I've been on a weight loss journey. I've been overweight or obese since I was about 6 years old, essentially as long as I can remember. I've been obese most of my life, and then I yo-yo dieted for a decade, which we'll talk about. And then I kind of changed my life and became healthier, which kind of just changed everything for me, of losing over 100 pounds, making career changes and all this stuff just from making healthier choices, which came from a New Year's resolution. So I know that people are kind of on the case this year of like, it's not New Year's resolution, it's intention, but it's whatever you want it to be. For me, I kind of like the New Year's thing. And I mean, I guess you do too, because you're here with me right now, of just kind of like fresh start, especially after a trash fire year like 2020, of like, you know, let's work on some goals and have some like positive vibes, and how can we move forward? So I kind of want to focus on, you know, not only weight loss, but just making changes and creating habits. And some of the things that I find helpful, I am going to take questions at the end, because I know that there already have been questions sent to the Lane Library. And so I want to make sure I answer everything if you have any questions, because I know there's like a million meal prep questions that I just can't answer them all in slides. Again, I'm better at talking and podcasting than I am at Zooming and creating slides, but I'm going to try to do the share screen thing here now and show you my slides, and you're going to see my desktop here for a second. It's a hot mess. So it just kind of looks like my brain. So here we go. So what I want, oops, how do I slide forward? How do I do it? Oh no, that's not working the way I thought it would. I'm already screwing this up. Okay, there, that's me, hi. And so I just kind of wanted to show you, I mean, because you can see me on Zoom, what I look like now. This is what I look like. This is actually a couple days before I met my husband. I'm in a moving van here. So I have a variety of quote unquote before pictures, including me in 4th grade. I kind of just wanted to show you of just kind of, you know, where I've been on my entire journey. And there's me in 5th grade, just rocking the most amazing bangs that you have ever seen, and a silk vest, which should make a comeback in my opinion. Here's some more pictures of me, including on this rideable cooler, which highly suggest A+. And then I would consider what I would say was my rock bottom, and not the delicious restaurant that I unfortunately think closed in Cincinnati from COVID. But where I was at a point where I'm like, I just don't want to live this life anymore. And this is me, New Year's 2012, when I made a New Year's resolution to just be healthier. And I did not eat this cake. This actually, I was about 10 pounds or so. This was a couple weeks into January of 2012. I was at a point right before this picture, I think it's in my next slide, that I was just binge eating and I was secret eating. I mean, I was eating to the point of pain. I was hitting up multiple drive-throughs. I mean, I was spending like double digit lots of money at Taco Bell in one sitting, which Taco Bell's pretty cheap. It's kind of hard to spend 25 bucks at Taco Bell. This girl got it done. And then I would go to Wendy's too, fries. And so, I was just in this place where I wasn't even walking around the block. I wasn't doing anything. I just like hated myself. I'm like, this isn't the life I want to live. Like at the time I was living in Denver, which is the most beautiful place and mountains, and I just wouldn't even walk around the block. And, here I was, I had 5 failed diets behind me. I had done South Beach, I did Weight Watchers twice and gained weight both times. I did LA Weight Loss, which no longer exists. I tried Atkins, no carb, low carb, all of those things. And I would lose 60 pounds and gain it back, and lose 40 and gain it back. So were they successful? Momentarily they were, and then not when it comes all back, because if you have lost a large amount of weight before and then gained it back and had to lose it again, it is not a pleasant experience. You're not really happy with yourself at that moment, which makes it harder to move forward. And I would say that a lot of that leading up to my New Year's resolution was I just didn't know a whole lot about nutrition. I didn't know what the right thing to do was. I was just kind of grasping at what I thought would happen. I would self-sabotage. I would just be like, just still like secret eat and act like it didn't count. Like, these calories don't count today. I didn't really have a solid why, other than at the time I'm like, I just want to be skinny and hot. And it only gets you so far, because even if you lose all the weight and you skinny and hot, quote unquote, then it's not like all the problems in your life are solved. And it's not like you have a great relationship with food or your body or exercise. So I didn't have a good driver, and just a terrible mindset. And I think that so many of us fall into this trap of like, well, I did this before and I'm no good at it. And so then you're already starting off, like, even maybe you are this year, of like, I'm going to come at things differently. I'm finally going to be like, build a budget, or whatever your New Year's resolution is, or I'm just going to eat healthier. But if you tell yourself, like, I've done this before and I failed at it, oh, every time I've done a New Year's resolution, I don't stick to it, you're already kind of setting the stage for failure. You're already kind of telling yourself you're ultimately going to fail. So what's the point? And then you're just going to, lack of a better term, half-ass it. So I feel like that's kind of where I was going into this. And yeah, like I was saying, I was doing all of these, just, how many times have you thought I just don't have any motivation? I mean, there's plenty of times even now, especially in 2020, zero motivation and doing things. And it's just, it just becomes overwhelming until you're like, it's time for a change. Like, maybe that's today. And for me, it was, oh yeah, and I put that in there too. That's kind of how I felt before. I mean, that's kind of how I feel now sometimes. But I'm like, I'm not going to diet anymore. I did all these diets and I felt like it was just so restrictive. Once you tell me I can't do something, oh, that's all I want to do. I just want to get in trouble. You tell me I can't have carbs. Oh, I can probably go without carbs, maybe a few months. But then when the carbs come back, it is on. And so that's kind of, I'm like, these restrictive things and taking whole food groups out, for me, and I think for a lot of people, is just unrealistic in the long term, because you might work in the moment, and then ultimately, if it doesn't keep working, did it really work? So I made the decision that I'm going to make the best decision possible in every moment. That was my New Year's resolution, of not be the best all the time, not all or nothing, but to just, in every moment, you have a choice and you can make the best decision. An example I use a lot, if you've heard my podcast or you've listened to me speak before, is if I'm going to a ball game, minus 2020, in 2019, if I was going to a ball game, I'm like, I'm gonna get a hot dog and I'm gonna get a couple beers because I'm at a ball game and that's the best decision right now. I just want to enjoy my life. And that just means the next choice I have, what's the next best choice? Maybe it's the chicken and rice and broccoli, which is the cliche, diet food sort of thing. It's just whatever is best in that moment, and to have the self-awareness and kind of bring yourself back to that moment was what really worked for me. And to set goals for yourself that will become habits. I personally found this funny that I put Whoopi Goldberg and Sister Act in there because she's wearing a habit, but it's probably not that funny if I have to explain the joke. FYI, Sister Act is on Disney Plus, in case you just needed to watch that again. But really, like, the goals, you're setting up like little small habits for yourself, and that's where you'll win. And be like, for me, losing over 100 pounds, when you put yourself like, I'm going to lose 100 pounds this year, like, whoa, well, how are you going to get there? Like, you have to create habits that are going to get you to those goals. And a recommendation I wanted to make of a really great book, which is perfect because you can rent this out from the Lane Library, is Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a really good book, in my opinion, of really kind of establishing those habits, because really any sort of goal behind it is just building these little habits up and then building on top of that. And on top of that is just having SMART goals. I'm sure if you've been in any sort of corporate atmosphere, you've probably heard of SMART goals, but it's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely. So kind of have that in mind when you're building a goal or a resolution or an intention or whatever you're thinking of that you want to have. I think realistic is the key here. If you're like, I want to lose 100 pounds, well, let's back it down. Like, let's be like, okay, well, I'd like to lose 10 pounds in 2 months. And that is totally realistic and attainable and measurable. And then you kind of back it up from there of like, what kind of habits do I need to create in order to make that happen in a realistic way? And now I move stuff around. There we go. So small meaning drink more water, eat less fast food, whatever, your things are, of like, kind of, I just do a scan of yourself of what am I good at? What am I bad at? Where are my weak spots? If you're like, I'm terrible at eating breakfast, I just really want to get better at eating breakfast. Like, start small there. It doesn't have to be you're cranking it to 100. And I know that it feels like when you're just doing these small things, it almost feels like nothing sometimes, but I mean, you'll get there, you know what I mean? And something that is daily, like you got to drink water every day, right? Or drink one less Monster and drink one more water, or walk around the block, or take a Peloton class, or whatever that is. Or just try to eat one vegetable a day. You know what I mean? Of just try to work these small things in there. It's helpful for me to set reminders or alarms. I'm assuming you probably have your phone on you most times, of every half hour, put an alarm in there or a reminder, like drink some water, get up, go for a walk, stretch. These are just little things that you'll do them over and over again and they become habits, because consistency is key. Because guess what? Motivation is not always there. The consistency is what keeps you going, not magically waking up every day excited to do burpees and eat broccoli. It just doesn't exist. And if it does, that's kind of crazy. And anchoring things to other habits. So it's like, when you get up in the morning, your routine, like maybe whenever you are brushing your teeth every morning, you make a habit out of, what am I eating for breakfast, or whatever that is. Or whenever you're making coffee in the morning, you're laying things out for your lunch, or packing a lunch bag, or whatever those is. Of like, you already have habits. How can you attach these new, healthier habits to existing ones so they can kind of just build on top of each other? And also have realistic expectations of, you might have the goal of losing 10 pounds in 2 months or whatever, and you might get close, but it might not exactly happen. But it's real life. You can't just throw it all away. Like the example is if like somebody slashes one of your tires, you don't go around and slash the other 3. That, you just want to be realistic in how you're doing these things and what your expectations are. and be patient, which is hard. I'm an incredibly impatient person. So it was much harder for me. Like, it's easier when you can lose 60 pounds in 6 months. I've done that before. You're like, woo, banging it. And then when it took me 2.5 years to lose the majority of the weight that I lost. That is much slower than 6 months. But then I built these habits and it took a long time. But here I am, 9 years later from that original New Year's resolution. And it comes back to self-awareness. What are your weaknesses? What do you really want? How do you behave? What are your behaviors with certain foods? What are your behaviors with exercise? Do you work better by yourself, or do you better with a team or a partner, or having someone help you? And then kind of just, again, building blocks up and up. And for me, I was down 55 pounds in August 2012. So, from my New Year's resolution, which was pretty awesome. So, and then from there, I started doing couch to 5K. I started running. I'd never run in my life. Like when we did like presidential challenge and all that stuff when I was in school, like I walked the track. I never ran. And then here I was running 5Ks. And I also wanted to point out that this is 1 year later from that last photo. So this was almost 2 years into my New Year's resolution. So thinking that you're going to just knock it out of the park because it's a New Year's resolution, you got to do it in 1 year time frame is unrealistic. We want things to happen faster? Well, heck yeah. But for me, like this is still an amazing accomplishment. It was even more meaningful to me that I still stuck to it almost 2 years later. So I just think that that's such an important part of the process. And then here, as I ran the 4 of the races of the Flying Pig, and this is several years later. I can't run anymore because my knees are trash, but I really did like running for a while. And and it all just came from smaller goals, couch to 5K, running, walking, and then running, and then 5K, 10K, half marathon, the build, you don't go from never running at all to running a half marathon without just wrecking your whole body. Making better choices, no gimmicks, not anybody selling me anything. Like it was just eat real foods. I think that is just, it was a really simple way to look at it. If you know what the ingredients are, the ingredients of broccoli is broccoli. And I know that's not very exciting, but you hear the perimeter of the store, and not to say you can't eat crackers or any of that other stuff is, but to be mindful of it. You know what I mean? I think that's just the key is to, how your behaviors with food of like you use it to numb out, to comfort yourself. Like all of a sudden you've eaten a whole box of Wheat Thins or an entire family size bag of Lay's. I've done all of those things, but it's because I wasn't kind of tuned into that moment. And when you're being consistent with yourself and you're making these better choices over and over again and having the mindset of like, I can do this, I'm stronger than that bag of Lay's chips, then it just kind of compounds on itself. And plus, it's just more than weight loss too. I have a completely different outlook on life. I'm a completely different person than I was before. In all the best ways. I've been more productive. I've been more successful in my career. I have a new purpose. I think it's just proving to yourself or keeping a promise to yourself that you know that you can do this thing. You trust in yourself. You believe in yourself. And when you start seeing those things come to life, you're like, wow, what else can I do? And that's how I felt. I just felt so completely empowered that I could do this. You know what I mean? And not to say that I didn't ask for help along the way, but, just kind of find your own path. And part of that is getting experimental with foods and fitness. If you're like, oh, Brussels sprouts, bleh. Well, have you tried cooking them in 5 different ways? You keep trying something and then make the decision it sucks. If you're like, I hate yoga, well, have you tried the multiple different kinds of yoga classes? Have you tried yoga at home? Have you tried yoga in a class? You know what I mean? Of just kind of feel it out before you're just like, I'm no good at it. I don't like it. Like it's a process. You're going to have to keep trying and failing. And there's a million things that I have failed at in my journey, but it's like, well, get up and try something different. And also part of that is just also don't eat the foods you hate. Like this is diet food. This is a diet shake. This is broccoli. Don't force yourself to choke something down. Try it. But if it's a hard no, if you're going to force yourself to like eat boiled chicken every day, which I know people who have, and I have when I was on LA weight loss, you get to the point where you don't want to eat it anymore because you're like, don't get to that point. With that being said, when you are eating, you want to be mindful of how you're building out your plate or your snacks. You want to have a good balance of carbs, proteins, fats. And I know that, that there's the keto and the lower carb wagon. I am on the wagon of carbs are delicious and amazing, and they fuel your body and they help you exercise. Carbs do so many good things. It's what your relationship with carbs are, the carbs you're choosing. But that's a whole long conversation. But here, just kind of like when you think of your plate, to have it balanced between these things. You want veggie, you want your protein, whether it's animal or plant, and you want your carbs. And you just kind of want to think that every time you eat, you balance it out because it'll keep you full longer. And you want to be full. You don't want to be hangry. You don't want to be, just like, I'm on a diet. So you know what I mean? But if you're eating foods that you enjoy, that you like it, and you find ways to like it, the things of like, maybe you look at this and you're like, salmon's nasty, find a different protein, find a way to balance this out so you enjoy it, but you're also feeling satiated. I know snacks is a big thing. I just include some of my favorite snacks that are just easy to keep on me at all times, which I don't know everybody's situation in COVID, whether or not you're staying at home or you have to go out to work or you're traveling or whatever. But the ones that I keep on me at all the time are the nut butter packets, like Justin's, tuna packets, which they have all the flavored ones. They have the ones that come with a spork. Protein powders, if that's your jam. Also a reminder about protein powders, it is a supplement. So it's to supplement yourself if you're not eating enough protein. So I would always go with real food first. But again, if you're hungry, you need a snack and you're like, I'm going to go to Wendy's and chow down, or I can have this and it'll satiate me enough so I can make a better choice. Man, it's all your decision, not shaming anybody's choices. And nuts. And you think of like trail mix, those get dangerous though, because again, portion sizes are very important. I am a volume eater, so this is also why I meal prep, because I personally need portions out, because if I make a whole skillet of food, I will eat the whole skillet. But if I dole it out and put it in its own portions, I realize I'll eat that portion and I will be full. So that's helpful for me with meal prepping, because otherwise I'll eat it all. And for meal prepping, I think that some of the essentials are write out a plan. Kind of like, for me, I think out the whole week. You do not have to think out the whole week. Just think out the day. You know what I mean? Of just, if you need to, the night before or the morning of, what do I have on hand? What am I going to eat tomorrow? I'm a big fan of MyFitnessPal, of just so you can get a really good idea of tracking your food. It's free. Of just knowing kind of what you're eating is important. Of, are you really eating the calories that you think you're eating? Are you really eating as balanced meals as you think you're eating? And it's not to shame you, it's just information. And so you can work from that information. And so that, and then also of writing out a plan of, okay, well, tomorrow, this is what I want to have for breakfast. This is what I got for lunch. This is what I got for dinner. This is what I'm going to do for snacks. I got all the stuff here in the house or whatever it is, or I'm going out to lunch tomorrow, or I'm getting takeout or whatever. This is what I plan on getting, of just having a plan. I mean, it's going to take you maybe 10 minutes and then you're kind of set. Grocery lists are extremely helpful. I have a grocery list, especially now. It's very, I want to just get in and out of Kroger. So, having a list so you're not like, oh, me, I haven't had that flavor of Oreo yet. I'm going to put that in the cart. It's just easier to like, this is what I want. This is what I need. This is the list, whether it's for you or everybody in your family. And also just making those small things of, maybe it's like breakfast is your problem or your problem area. So what can I make for breakfast? And start there. Or, I mean, you don't have to prep out any food at all. It's just having a plan. Or prepping out snacks of, for me, if I get bags of nuts and I'm eating nuts, like I just talked about portion sizes, I'll get the little Ziploc bags and I'll portion them out so I can just grab one. Because if I'm just sticking my paw into a bag of nuts, I'm going to eat the whole thing. That's just me. That's me knowing myself. And so for me, it's just, I like to be prepped for the whole week. I do my meal prep on Sundays mostly because I'm lazy. Like, it's not because I'm like this super hard worker. It's because I don't want to think about it. If I'm just opening the fridge and I don't have a plan, I'm probably going to make the decision that I'm going to beat myself up about later. I'm going to be mad I didn't, do things the way I wanted to do them. I'll either undereat because I'm trying to punish myself, or I'll overeat because I'm trying to punish myself. So it's just, for me, it's just I like taking the thinking out of the equation. I think about it, what I'm going to do on a Saturday, Sunday, I do it. I have it all planned for the week. That's just easier for me. I know not everybody wants to eat the same things every day. So there's, things that you can do for that too. Change things every day. Or a good trick that somebody that I worked with did was they made a different soup every weekend, and then they froze them in portion sizes. So they had a multiple different soups in the freezer. So every day they would take one of those out, let it thaw out in the morning. By lunchtime, pop it in the microwave, and you got a different soup with your lunch every day, of just something to mix it up. And have the staples stocked, depending on what your staples are, rice, oats, if you got food in the freezer, stuff like that. Some other meal prep things, it doesn't have to be like what's in the picture here, like I make chicken and all this other stuff, but it can be sandwiches, it can be wraps, it can be soups, it can be hard-boiled eggs. Like I make those in mass too, just because it's when you're sitting there waiting for everything to boil and you're hungry, like let's take that out of the equation if that's a problem. Chia pudding, which I have recipes for in my cookbook and on my Instagram page. Overnight oats, or also Pinterest. Pinterest is also your friend finding recipes. Salads, I know a lot of people are anti-salad. Salads really aren't my jam either, because one of those things that I burnt myself out on. I ate so many salads just dieting that now I'm like, ugh. But when I do it, I also prepare them. I get a big Ziploc bag. I dump all of the dry ingredients I went into them. So day of, I can pull up the big Ziploc bag and dump it into a bag. I put on dressing or cheese or whatever I'm going to put on it. And it's easier than every day, taking everything out, because it's one of those things of oh, you're like, I do want to eat this, but do I want to spend even sometimes, it's crazy how short our attention spans are, of 5 minutes chopping everything up. No. So whatever you got to do to make things a little bit easier. And I know there's a lot of meal prep questions and stuff like that. So I did want to open it up for questions, because I know there's probably stuff that I missed. So I'm not really sure exactly how to answer questions on this, because like I said, I'm not a Zoom expert and I don't know how to see the chat. Or can I see the chat this way? Oh, I don't know. Am I doing it wrong?
Try going out of your share screen.
Okay.
Can you see the chat if you click it on the side?
Yes. All right, everybody. Let me see. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, thank you, Kathy. I'm saying I'm watching my Meal Prep Sunday. The name of my podcast is Pound This. So yeah, it's just Pound This. It's wherever you listen to podcasts. So Apple, Android, my website is poundthis.com. So that's where the podcast is. I've been doing the podcast for 3 years now. It's my 3-year anniversary of doing the podcast. So I'm pretty psyched about that. I have over 600 episodes. There's a lot to listen to. No pressure to listen to them all. I don't listen to them. Does my husband meal prep too? No, this is just his personal preference. He just likes to eat junk food. He ate a whole bag of frozen onion rings last night. He eats a lot of Totino's pizzas, drinks a lot of beer, and he doesn't gain any weight. I have offered to make him food and he just doesn't want that. But I know there's an issue for a lot of families of I want to do this for myself. The kids aren't on board, the family's not on board. So my suggestion for that is to find something, if you're having meals together, that is generally healthy, and then maybe change some of the sides. So maybe your side is a broccoli or whatever that no one else wants to eat, but theirs is a mac and cheese. So, that you can kind of have these blended meals where you can still eat together, but it doesn't have to be I'm eating this and I'm off in my little hole while everybody else is eating pizza. But, also sometimes maybe it is. I mean, I sit around when my husband eats literal pints of ice cream every night. And I'm like, but that's a choice for me of I could do that if I want, but I kind of want this more. So, it's tough. So that is a tough thing. What are my appliance meal prep essentials? I love my steamers, everything that I get is from Amazon. And so I got like Hamilton Beach steamers. I've been using steamers the whole time. So I like steam all my vegetables. I tend to like things a little bit more plain for myself. But you can always jazz things up. So steamers, I really like the air fryer, but air fryer is not great for mass prep. It's kind of good for day of stuff. So since I mass prep a lot of things, I don't use the air fryer for that because it takes forever. Definitely containers. I say definitely invest, and it's really not even an investment, into the containers that are all like uniform, because before I did all the different like Tupperware, all the ones, the ones that you buy from Kroger, you can't find lids and everything's misshapen and nothing's the same, and it just makes you angry. And so, the Fit Packer, the plastic ones that I have from Amazon, it's like $16 and they've lasted me like 6 years. So, and it's just nice when they all just fit together, all the lids match everything. I think that's also a big deal. And scale is a big deal. So I weigh and measure my food to have that, measuring cups and all that other stuff. I'd say that's probably all of the like super key things to have. Is weighing daily or ever necessary? I mean, I think that's a personal preference. I've gone in a lot of phases with the scale. I feel like if weighing yourself daily makes you nuts, like if that determines your mood for the rest of the day, then don't do it. Because your body fluctuates so much versus on how much water you're retaining, hormones, everything else, that it's not a good gauge. There's so many better gauges of how you're doing, of how your clothes fit, how your body feels, just your energy levels, your sleep. Those things are way more important than the number on the scale. So, but it's also information. It's a tool, right? So a good suggestion I have is, if the scale does get into your head, is to get a digital scale that, links to an app or your Fitbit or whatever. Put some tape on top of it so you can't see the number. Get in, weigh yourself every day if you need to, let it populate to the app, and then once a month go in, and then you can kind of see the real ebbs and flows of where you're at. I feel like that's helpful. But again, it's just personal preference. Sometimes weighing every day is good for me, because if at night, my problem is at night that I really want to like lounge and watch TV and snack. So if I know I got to weigh myself in the morning, I'm less apt to eat the pint of ice cream. And that, I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I kind of, again, it's all just personal preference. How often do I weigh myself? Right now, I weigh myself every week. So I weigh myself every Saturday morning. So that's what I do now. And I just try to use it as a gauge, and I'm trying to use other markers of how I feel versus my weight. So that's just kind of where I'm at right now. Will it change in 6 months? Probably. But you gotta play with it, you know what I mean? Any suggestions of ways to motivate myself to exercise? I'd say just find stuff that you like. For me, I lost the majority of weight just walking, because I had tried doing other things and nothing really stuck. I mean, I had paid for so many gym memberships and I just dreaded going, and I would never go, but I could go outside and go for a walk. You know what I mean? I like putting on my headphones, listening to a podcast, listening to music. And I know that's not the answer for everybody, but I enjoyed it. And it's something I would do every day. So I feel like that's the motivation, is if you're just like, I like doing this, it makes me feel good, or it turns my brain off, or whatever it is. And maybe it's just, there's so many online options now that, you can find a bunch of free classes to take, or whatever you feel like, I'm kind of interested in this kind of feels good. That's where I would start. And then it doesn't have to be like, I don't exercise at all, to I have to have a gym membership, I'm going to go to Orange Theory and crush it out. That might work for some people, but if you don't find the motivation to go, then that's not your answer. But if you do, are like, yeah, I love doing this is the bomb, then, try those different things. And also to just try a bunch of different stuff. I've tried so many different fitness classes to see if I liked it or not. And some of them I really love, and some of them I honestly really hate. And I've given them a good, decent chance, because a lot of places will give you free classes at first. And then I'm like, you know what, that's not for me. It doesn't mean I'm bad at exercise. It doesn't mean I'm not motivated to exercise. It just means that exercise doesn't jam with me. Next question is, how do you deal with negative self-body image? Oh God, that's so hard. I just try, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not the best at that all the time. And that is a really hard thing to deal with. But it's just try to learn to like love all the things that my body can do. You know what I mean? Of like, I've done so much in this body and it's done so many great things for me. I'm here right now, surviving and thriving. You know what I mean? We all are. So it's, try to talk to your body in that sort of way of like, it doesn't, matter if it's this certain size that you want it to be. Is your body healthy? And for me, that's a healthier place to think of it from, is like, how is my body working and thriving, instead of, do I look good in this pair of jeans, which is awesome. You know what I mean? Nobody's gonna be mad about feeling like hot in a pair of clothes or whatever. But it's, when I go into those spins of like, oh my God, if you've listened to my podcast of like, I feel like a trash bag full of nacho cheese, in the days where you just feel like, ooh, I feel like it's not that bad. This is in your head. It could be much worse. And just try to come from a place of gratitude of all the things that are going good. You know what I mean? If you are meal prepping, but someone wants to go out to eat after work and you decide to go, what do you do? I would say that there's certain times I have been super hardcore and I'll just like drink water and get a side salad or something. It all just depends on kind of like what phase of life I'm in. But I'll just get the best thing off the menu. It's not that like, if I don't have my meal prepped meal, oh my God, I just, I lose my mind. It's like, okay, we're going to go out to eat. I'm going to choose the best thing. There's always something on any menu you can find and make the best choice out of. And the best choice is really what you feel is the best decision that you're going to feel mentally and physically good about. You know what I mean? So, I tend to always go with the healthier option now, because that's just what feels good to me now. I think it's a kind of a dangerous place, or I've lived in this before too, of like, oh, I'm on vacation, so that means all this healthy living goes out the thing. We're eating nothing but deep fried butter for the whole week while I'm on vacation. And then, after that, how you feel physically and mentally, and what it's like to, kind of get back on, quote unquote, back on the wagon. So for me, I would rather just make a healthier choice on a menu than to, just depending on where I'm at, then really go all out if I'm not mentally prepared for that and feel like garbage. It just kind of just depends on where you're at. But yes, there's always healthy things on a menu. And sometimes, like, we're going to go out, and I have messed up a Brazilian steakhouse before and I felt completely fine afterwards. I was the only person that didn't turn my thing to red. I just kept on eating. And it was awesome and no regrets. So it all just kind of depends on your mindset around it. I'm lost my place here. Did you start with the nutrition and exercise together, or focus on nutrition first and then incorporate exercise later? I started with nutrition first. Because that's what I struggle with a lot, especially having, binge eating disorder, and a lot of my issues are with food, that I knew that's where I never really exercised before. I kind of did, but not really. Who I am as a person at the time, which is crazy now, because like to become like a personal trainer now, like versus what I did in high school. I purposely took a ton of band classes, so I never had to step foot in the gym. Like I never went to PE on purpose. And so that's kind of how I was before. I just didn't have a great relationship with exercise. So it was the food first. And once I started feeling just good from the food, like just more brain fog lifted, just like, I feel like I got more energy. What's next? Then I started walking. And then it wasn't, it was walk around the block. It didn't start off with me walking 15 miles or hiking a mountain. It was like, I feel like I got more energy. It'd be nice to go for a small walk. And then small walks turn into longer walks, especially after I got a Fitbit. I got kind of Fitbit obsessed for a while. So that was helpful for me too. So I definitely started with food first, but that's just my own personal jam. Strange question. Did your skin shrink with you? Some of it did. So, I will say that, I feel like, I have loose skin on my arms. I definitely have a lot of loose skin on my inner thighs. And I did have skin removal surgery on my abdomen. I had 7.5 pounds of skin removed from my abdomen because it was painful, like exercising and things like that. And at the time I was just like, oh my God, I'm still like just so fat and just so mean to myself of like, I have to keep working harder until somebody's like, that's loose skin, right? Like that's not going away. I'm like, oh. And then it was just like, stop being so mean to myself that like, I just like wasn't working hard enough. And I will absolutely say, although I feel like the skin removal surgery was an awesome decision for me, zero regrets with that, that if that were taken away, I would 100% still live the lifestyle that I'm doing. I think that people get afraid of loose skin, of like, I don't want to lose the weight because of loose skin, but it's like, but you rather be unhealthy and risk for chronic disease and, unhappy mentally and physically versus having loose skin. Take the loose skin for sure. Like, not, you don't have to have like this, buttoned up, bikini body ready. I mean, everybody is bikini ready, it's all just in the mindset. So some of the things, because I know people are concerned with loose skin, I do my dry brushing you might want to look into. I just do that because it's kind of opens your skin up so it will absorb more moisturizer. So through my weight loss journey, and I still do this, I would dry brush before I get in the shower. When I get out of the shower, I use a really good lotion. For me, I choose lotion that doesn't have like a ton of like fragrances and ingredients in it, just because your body kind of soaks it up. That's kind of my crunchy granola jam. So that way, like, you're kind of keeping your body moisturized too. So, and also skin that is also reflective of how you're treating the inside of your body, of staying really hydrated, drinking a lot of water, eating the right foods, and your body or your skin will, to the best of its abilities, reflect your healthier choices also. But loose skin, depending on where you're at, is just kind of inevitable. For me, I had never been in a smaller body that there was nothing to snap back to. So that's the loose skin story. Sorry, that probably went on too long. Next question. I have 3 boys that are picky eaters, so I find myself making more than one meal, one for myself and one for them. Any tips for making the process easier? I guess my best suggestion is kind of what I said before, is just kind of, can you find a balance that you kind of have some shared things and some things that are slightly different. I personally don't have kids, so that's something that, I don't have a lot of experience to pull from, so I don't want to like give you advice that I haven't lived through. But I know that that's just, so many people deal with that. And that's what I have heard from other people that have changed to a healthier lifestyle. That's one of the solutions that they kind of do of, it's not just a hard line, this is yours, this is mine, of how can we combine those things and then kind of work into, what your kids kind of start to crave too. And can they, find some of the things that you are eating that's healthier? Do they start to crave those things too? You know what I mean? So hopefully that answers that. The skin question again. Okay, well, I think maybe I didn't spend too much time talking about that. How much and often did you walk fast paced? I did not walk fast paced. I still don't walk fast paced because I don't find that enjoyable. I just like walking and kind of tuning out. When I first started, it was just short walks, and then it got up to a mile. I was pretty psyched that I walked a mile. And then I was pretty psyched when I got it up to like a 5K, like 3 miles. And even when I walk now, I live on the west side of Cincinnati, which is not the most walkable place at all, or the most beautiful place. But it's like, I just like walking. I just walk around neighborhoods, like, or you find a track or just a place that you like. Again, it doesn't have to, I personally like walking outside more than a treadmill. Treadmills kind of like they just bore me so much. I just don't like treadmills. That's my own thing. Is I don't enjoy it, so I don't walk on them. Even if it's cold outside, I'll bundle up just to go for a walk outside. So 10,000 steps a day is the general rule. So if you're getting 10,000 steps a day, no matter what you're doing, I think that you're in a good place of just moving your body. It doesn't have to be insanely intense. It all depends on what your goals are, but as long as you're moving at all, like, I think that you're doing good. What are some of your favorite podcasts? Oh, the ones that I listen to? Oh God. Trying to think of like health and fitness related ones. I like Mind Pump. They're kind of broy, but they have a lot of really good information. And they're like 3 fitness trainers. And I got to meet them in person and go to their podcast studio and record a podcast with them in 2018, which was super cool. But they have, as if you're really looking to get more into strength training and building muscle, they have a lot of really good information when it comes to that. So that's a podcast I would recommend when it comes to like health and fitness. Are you setting any new goals for 2021 that you would be willing to share? Oh, yeah. I think that, well, first off, for me, I, made a huge career change in going into 2020 and starting my own business and working into health and fitness. So goals for 2021 is starting to take clients for in-person personal training, which I'm doing at Cincy 360 Fitness in Cincinnati. And I just want to absorb as much information as possible, working with a great group of trainers, learning as much as I can. I just really, not only want to know how my body operates and the best to do for my body, but how do I help other people do that in other levels other than, my podcast and stuff that I do. So a goal for mine is to just really kind of take it down and be just a student of just absorb as much information as possible and try to help as many people as possible, as cheesy as that sounds, of taking my, everything that I know from my experience and everybody that I've met and everybody that I've interviewed, and how do I really bring that to help people reach their goals, especially in personal training. I feel like so many people are afraid of personal trainers or gyms because you're just like, oh my God, my body doesn't look the way I want it to, or my strength isn't the way, and I'm going to be judged. I mean, you hear like, no judgment zone, Planet Fitness or whatever, that it's scary and it's intimidating. And, I really hope to show people that it's like, I totally understand where you're at. Like, let's start small, let's do this. And actually, and work together is really exciting for me. Another question is about non-mindful eating. Do you have a way to recognize and stop the non-mindful eating? When I don't have control of the things around me, I suddenly find I've ate a bite of ice cream. How can you become aware of something you aren't aware of? Oh my God, what a tough question. Oh God, how do I answer that? Because I think that the time to be mindful of it is after you do it. Because obviously you are mindful of it because you just said, I ate the whole pint of ice cream. Once the ice cream is gone, then you're kind of like, you kind of wake up to it. And I kind of feel that way when I have gone in binges in the past. It's like, it's just, you're in the middle of a hurricane and there's no stopping anything. You're not thinking of just eat. And then when it's over, you're just kind of like, oh, and you just kind of think about everything you did. And I think that's the growing moment. I think that's when you become aware of, and I know this sounds stupid and you don't feel like doing it in the moment, of almost even either write it down or take mental notes of like, how do I feel right now? Like, I just did this thing I'm not happy with. How do I feel physically and mentally around this behavior? And try to really absorb that. So the next time when you go to reach for the pint of ice cream, you kind of are like, this is how I felt last time I did this. Do I want to relive this? So that was helpful for me, of just really kind of waking up and sitting in how uncomfortable it feels when you get out of doing the thing that you don't want to do. I mean, I've eaten an entire, the giant like Target things of cheese balls, eaten it all in one sitting. And then I cried, and Mike, my husband, is like, what's wrong? I'm like, I had a cheese ball attack. And like just lost it. And I'm like, I had to sit there and feel how bad I felt, like really feel it. Like this, I don't want to feel this way again. Like the feeling afterwards for me, I hated myself, and I don't want to feel like I hate myself. So one thing is don't have a tub of cheese balls around for me. Like if that's that big of a problem that I felt that bad, that's something at least temporarily needs to not be in the house. But now I'm in a place where my husband gets cheese balls and they're in the house and I see them and I'm like, how do I want to do this? Do I want to eat some? If I want to eat some, I'm going to portion it out. if I go ham on this thing, I know exactly how I'm going to go feel, and I don't want to feel that way again. Kind of like, you know, if you think about when you get really drunk and you are really hungover, you know, of like, you have to really like remember that moment of the hangover of like next time you start drinking of like, man, I got to put some waters in between the drinks because last time, oh, that hangover was 2 days long. I can't be doing that all the time. I gotta find out a new system. You know what I mean? So I think it's just kind of sitting in the uncomfortable parts. That's where the growth comes from. And it doesn't happen overnight. You're going to, again, like habits, you're probably going to do it over and over again until finally you're just like kind of massage it out. I know for me, binges too, that I would just go into a frenzy. And so I would just power eat vegetables. I don't know if that's, you know, I'm not a therapist. I don't want to give that out as advice, but that's what I did, of just kind of like, if I have to have this, you know, hand to mouth, I got to eat something. For me, I'd rather it be baby carrots than ice cream. And that helped me too, of like, at least that helped my mental game of like, I don't feel so awful about myself and my choices right now. This makes me feel slightly better. And then to just think about why and kind of take it apart. Which again, none of this process is easy. It is calories in, calories out, but ultimately it's just such a mindset and such a mind game. And that's where the real work comes in of, you know, what is my relationship with this lifestyle, which is different for everyone. Another question is, your healthier lifestyle approach is a great one. Oh, thank you for sharing your story. Oh, thank you. So if anybody has any other questions, I know I'm kind of going over here. So is this time to end it?
It's up to you. But man, what an accomplishment, even though I know you're never really 100% done.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, I just finding new things because it's always changing of what I really like and what I don't. I think that's also important to realize is what might be working and feel awesome to you right now might not feel the same way in January. And that's fine. Of like locking yourself into, this is what my idea of what a healthy lifestyle is, and not being flexible on that is a dangerous place to be, because then it kind of goes into the all or nothing. Because I've gone in, at least fitness, I've gone from walking to running to lifting a ton to doing a ton of HIIT classes to then doing nothing but corrective exercises. And like where I'm at now is different than where I've been before. It's just like just like life, you kind of just change and you just kind of roll with it.
Mm-hmm. Would you recommend that we write down like the SMART goal?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that what I did too, what was helpful for me is making the resolution is I wrote down 3 things that I would like to accomplish in the next 90 days. And so that was my timeline. And it wasn't all weight loss either. One was flossing my teeth every day. So, cause that's not a sexy goal, right? But it's like, I don't want cavities anymore. It's getting pricey. So, you know, of just be like, okay, well, 90 days, I can floss my teeth for 90 days. Like I can do this. And even when I was like super tired, fall asleep on the couch, I don't feel like brushing my teeth and flossing before nighttime. Then I was like, well, I told myself I could do this. I can do it. Just go knock it out. And I always feel better afterwards. Kind of like people say that you'll never regret a workout when it's over. Like when you're done, you're so glad that you did it. It's just, you got to like hype yourself to get there. And I think that if you kind of take those smaller chunks of like, I said I could do this for 1 month. It's just 1 month. Just go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? I think that that's helpful.
Yes, I am going to post the poll I talked about, and I was hesitant to do it because I don't know what's going to look like. Whoa, did everyone get your poll?
I didn't. Am I supposed to get it?
Oh, launch polling. There we go, Sarah. Here we go. Do you see a poll anywhere, folks?
I see a poll. I don't know how to fill it out though.
I don't either. How do you fill it out?
Oh, wait, I got it.
Did you?
I think so.
Ah, look at that. Awesome. You guys rock.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Look how cool that is. Real time. Cool. A lot of people looking at possibly following up. We talked about that maybe in March or so.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm cool for that.
yeah. And if you put down that you're interested in future programs, I'll try to figure out how to get a report for this polling, and get emails to you, and especially let you all know if we're going to do something again with Amanda.
Well, and also for people saying that we're looking for more motivation and stuff, if you don't already follow me on Instagram, I'm at You Can Pound This on Instagram, and I walk through my meal prep every Sunday. I'm going to do that now once this is over, and share recipes and stuff like that. And of course, I'm always around to answer questions. And then my podcast is Pound This. So, if anybody needs any additional information, that's where I can be found.
Yeah. And I will say, sometimes I don't meal prep, but I like watching your meal preps and listening to your podcast and others. It just helps to be surrounded by that health information, even if you're not actually doing the meal prepping. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I try to make it fun. So I know everybody's not going to meal prep. I just try to make it fun.
Yeah. And then someone said the book Amanda mentioned is already checked out. Yeah, I have it. Oops. So I promise to return it, and we will get that for you. I promise on Monday I will return the book. So, yeah.
Also, yeah, I just want to say, just also a reminder for, the library system, especially, I'm speaking of Cincinnati. It's such an awesome resource for audiobooks. And, I was just telling you that Richard Simmons Sweating to the Oldies, you can stream those. And I mean, it's all free from the library or get books. I think that libraries kind of get forgotten about sometimes, and we all just keep spending money on Amazon and buying things. And that's like, oh, well, you can get it for free from the library. So just a nice friendly reminder.
Right. And there's also
check out the library
as well. So okay, Cincinnati had 80 copies of it or something. So there we go. Cincinnati Public. So, and some of you are saying I can keep this message chat that you're not able to do the poll. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that, but we want to get your name in for your cookbook.
Oh yeah.
So I'll email a poll or something to you. So it
Awesome.
looks like 49 of 50 people have submitted. So we're doing good.
Yay.
Yay. Well, Miss Amanda, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And thank you everyone for taking your time out of your Sunday to join us. I hope you are able to keep your promise to yourself. We're worth it, aren't we?
For sure.
We're worth it. So I need to go write my promises down, I think. So anyway, again, Amanda, thank you. And thank you to the Friends of the Oxford Lane Library. And we hope to see you soon.
Awesome.
Bye. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
Bye.